100 life lessons every person over 40 must master to secure their future. There is a quiet urgency that arrives after 40. It does not shout. It whispers. It reminds you that time is no longer abstract. It is visible in the mirror, in the way your body moves, in the way silence becomes more precious than noise. You begin to realize that the future is not something far away. It is happening right now, shaped by what you say yes to, what you walk away from, and what you finally decide to master. Lesson 1: protect your attention like your life depends on it, because it does. I used to believe I had to be informed, available, always plugged in. But information without focus becomes noise. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You become what you give your attention to. Guard your mind. Curate your inputs. Where your attention goes, your life follows." Listen to not everything that hurts you is wrong for you. I once thought discomfort was a sign to stop. But some lessons only reveal themselves through friction. Epictetus said difficulties show what men are. Pain can be feedback. Let it teach you, not define you. Lesson 3: silence is a skill, not a void. I used to fill every space with commentary, opinions, advice. But the most powerful people I met listened. Seneca wrote, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence. Do not speak to fill the air. Speak to add weight. The rest is strength and stillness." Listen for control your reactions, and you control your future. I used to let my mood be shaped by what others did, said, forgot. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. The world does not owe you calm, but you owe it to yourself to protect your own. Lesson 5: not every relationship deserves resurrection. I thought maturity meant fixing every falling out. But some doors are closed because peace lives on the other side. Epictetus said he is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. Let some chapters remain closed. You owe no one your regression. Lesson 6: business is not a badge of honor. I used to equate a packed schedule with importance. But productivity without purpose is just distraction in disguise. Seneca warned, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. Business is not progress. It is sometimes just avoidance with a good PR team. Lesson 7: fear and excitement feel the same in the body. I used to label all intensity as danger. But stepping into something new often feels like fear. The body shakes. The mind resists. But Marcus Aurelius faced the unknown daily. Let the sensation come, but change the label. What feels scary might just be what you were born to do next. Lesson 8: boundaries are not walls, they are filters. I thought setting limits made me selfish. But boundaries do not block love, they protect it. Epictetus taught that we should not seek to control others, only ourselves. A boundary is a form of self minus respect. And self minus respect teaches others how to love you properly. Lesson 9: your body is your biography. Every habit, every compromise, every night you chose work over rest, it shows. Seneca wrote, treat your body rigorously, so that it is not disobedient to the mind. After 40, your body stops whispering. It speaks clearly. Listen before it screams. Lesson 10: forgiveness is a private act. I thought I needed conversations, apologies, mutual understanding. But Marcus Aurelius forgave without ceremony. He released others to protect his own stillness. Forgiveness is not about their redemption. It is about your release. If even one of these lessons press gently on something you have buried, let it stay there a moment. Let it work. Let it unravel what no longer serves. Because mastering your future after 40 is not about controlling life. It is about mastering your response to it. Lesson 11. Protect your time like you protect your family. I used to give it away freely, thoughtlessly, to people who never valued it. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, do not waste what remains of your life. Your time is not just minutes, it is your life in slow motion. Spend it on what matters. Defend it with clarity. Lesson 12. Not every opportunity is a blessing. I used to think more was always better, more meetings, more connections, more exposure. But Epictetus warned us that some doors open not to elevate, but to distract. If something costs you your peace, your presence, or your values, it is not an opportunity, it is a trap. Lesson 13. Consistency beats intensity. I used to chase bursts of motivation. Start strong, then fade. But Seneca knew it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Intentional minutes daily will outperform occasional inspiration every time. Show up steadily. That is where transformation lies. Lesson 14. Everyone is not meant to be part of your healing. I used to share my wounds with anyone who would listen, hoping they would understand. But Marcus Aurelius never demanded others to get it. Some people can only meet you where they left you. Heal anyway. Quietly, privately, powerfully. Lesson 15. Your peace will offend those who profit from your chaos. I noticed it when I stopped explaining, stopped overgiving. The silence made them uncomfortable. Epictetus would say, freedom is the only worthy goal in life, and freedom often looks like not reacting. Let your stillness be your stance. Lesson 16. Joy is a discipline. I thought joy just happened. But after 40, I learned it must be chosen, practiced, protected. Seneca reminded us that a wise man finds joy in virtue, not circumstance. Make time for beauty, for laughter, for stillness. Your future depends on it more than you think. Lesson 17. Endings are sacred. I used to rush through them, numb them, replace them. But Marcus Aurelius saw death itself as natural. Let things end. Let people leave. Let seasons shift. Not everything broken needs fixing. Some things need burying with respect. Lesson 18. No one can love you through the work you refuse to do yourself. I waited for someone to see me, save me, affirm me. But Epictetus would say your freedom is your own responsibility. Let love support you, but never let it replace your discipline. Lesson 19. Solitude is not emptiness, it is elevation. I used to fear being alone. But I realized solitude is where noise dies, where truth echoes. Seneca lived much of his wisdom in seclusion. When you stop fearing your own presence, you start finding your true self. Lesson 20. You do not need a new plan, you need a new level of commitment. I switched goals, changed directions. Thought clarity would come from the outside. But Marcus Aurelius acted with urgency. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. The path is not the problem. Your devotion to walking it is. If these lessons stirred something long buried, let them breathe. Let them linger. These are not bullet points. They are building blocks for a life designed, not drifted through. After 40, the choice becomes sacred. Lesson 20-1. Protect your boundaries even when it makes you the villain in someone else's story. I used to soften my truth to stay likable. But Marcus Aurelius said, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. You are not here to play a part in someone else's comfort fantasy. You are here to honor your alignment, even if it disappoints others. Lesson 20-2. You are not behind. I believe the lie that life had a timeline, that success, love, clarity had a deadline. But Epictetus reminded us that nature is patient. Comparison is the thief of peace, and artificial timelines are the thief of joy. You are not late. You are just now becoming ready. Lesson 20-3. Your nervous system remembers what your mind tries to ignore. I used to rationalize red flags, talk myself into staying. But Seneca said the mind that is anxious about future events is miserable. If your body tenses every time they enter the room, believe it. Wisdom often lies below the surface. Lesson 20- for love is not supposed to hurt. I once confused intensity with intimacy. Thought chaos meant depth. But Marcus Aurelius sought harmony even in hardship. Love that feels like punishment is not love. It is dependency wearing perfume. Walk toward peace, not volatility. Lesson 20-5. You teach people how to treat you by what you continue to accept. I excused behavior I should have confronted. I stayed quiet when I should have spoken. But Epictetus said you are a soul carrying a corpse, and that soul your dignity must be defended. Not loudly, but consistently. Lesson 20-6. Productivity is not identity. I used to measure my worth by how much I produced. But Seneca knew that idleness of the soul is the real danger, not rest. Your value is not in output. It is in presence. Learn to pause without guilt. It will save your life. Lesson 20-7. Some people are chapters, not conclusions. I held on longer than I should have because I thought shared history meant future loyalty. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that everything changes. Let people be what they were, a part of your becoming, not your forever. Lesson 20-8. Healing is not always graceful. Sometimes it looks like silence, distance, unfollowing, saying no without explanation. Epictetus believed healing was about living rightly, not impressing others with your progress. Let it be messy. Let it be yours. Lesson 20-9. Forgiveness is not forgetting. I thought letting go meant erasing. But Seneca knew memory serves wisdom. Forgive to release the grip they have on your peace, but remember, so you can finally choose differently. Forgiveness is not for their comfort, it is for your future. Lesson 30. Your peace is your responsibility. I used to blame the world for my restlessness. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, nowhere can man find a quieter or untroubled retreat than in his own soul. The world does not owe you tranquility. You must cultivate it and protect it. Like breath, like truth, like life itself. If even one of these lessons mirrored your own unspoken truth, let it guide you now, not just as reflection, but as direction. Because the future you deserve is built on what you finally choose to no longer ignore. Lesson 30-1. Clarity is kindness to yourself first. I used to stay vague, hoping things would sort themselves out. But Marcus Aurelius was ruthless with clarity. He knew vague intentions lead to vague lives. Say what you mean. Do what aligns. The fog does not lift by itself, you clear it by deciding. Lesson 30- to protect your energy from conversations that go nowhere. I used to debate endlessly, trying to prove, persuade, justify. But Epictetus said, better to trip with the feet than with the tongue. Do not argue with someone committed to misunderstanding you. Your silence is not surrender, it is strategy. Lesson 30-3. The way someone treats you under stress reveals who they are, not just what they are going through. I excused patterns as bad days, but Seneca taught that character is shown under pressure. One outburst can reveal more than 100 compliments. Pay attention when the mask slips. Lesson 30- for life is not supposed to be easy, it is supposed to be meaningful. I waited for A's, resented the struggle. But Marcus Aurelius led during plague, betrayal, and war. Still, he wrote a piece. The meaning is in how you meet the hard moments, not avoid them. Lesson 30-5. Your intuition is a muscle. Stop ignoring it. I felt the discomfort early, the resistance, but I called it overthinking. Epictetus would argue that wisdom lies in awareness. Listen to the tug in your gut. If something feels off, it probably is. Trust your ancient knowing. Lesson 30-6. Urgency is often manipulation. I used to rush decisions forced by pressure I mistook as importance. But Seneca reminded us slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. Time reveals what pressure tries to hide. Breathe before you decide. The right things can wait. Lesson 30-7. Closure is an inside job. I chased it texts, talks, last meetings. But Marcus Aurelius never expected the world to complete his endings. Some people leave quietly. Some answers never come. Closure begins when you stop looking outward and start accepting what is. Lesson 30-8. Rest is not a reward. I used to earn rest like a trophy after collapse, after perfection. But Epictetus knew a wise life includes rhythm. Protect your rest as part of your plan, not the aftermath of burnout. You are not a machine. You are a vessel. Fill it. Lesson 30-9. Some people love the version of you that needs them. I stayed small, agreeable, silent because that kept the peace. But Seneca taught that real love celebrates your growth, not fears your independence. Outgrow their comfort zone. It is not your cage. Lesson 40. You are allowed to choose peace over explanation. I used to explain my every boundary, every no, every exit. But Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Do not explain your evolution. Live it. Let the results speak. If these lessons stirred a memory, a regret, or a moment you almost forgot, do not turn away. This is what learning after 40 feels like. It is not academic. It is deeply personal. And it starts not in theory but in decision. Lesson 40-1. Your life is not a democracy. Your inner peace does not require a vote. I used to poll others before making choices, hoping for consensus. But Marcus Aurelius governed an empire by his principles, not his popularity. Let others disagree. Let them walk. You are not here to live by committee. Lesson 40-. To protect your mornings, they set the emotional tone of your entire day. I used to begin in chaos, checking emails, scrolling, reacting. But Epictetus said first, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Start grounded. Start silent. Start with you. Lesson 40-3. Not everyone is entitled to witness your growth. I used to announce every breakthrough. But Seneca knew some things are too sacred for noise. Grow in silence. Let your habits be the sermon. Those who see you shifting will feel it even if you say nothing. Lesson 40-. For your comfort zone is not a sanctuary, it is a slow erosion. I mistook ease for safety. But comfort in check becomes a coffin. Marcus Aurelius challenged himself to do hard things daily, not for glory, but for strength. Get uncomfortable. On purpose. That is where resilience lives. Lesson 40-5. You cannot be available for everyone and present for yourself. I used to say yes to everyone but me. But Epictetus swore that the divided self is never at peace. Presence requires boundaries. Not out of cruelty, but out of clarity. Lesson 40-6. Do not confuse being liked with being respected. I played it safe. Smiled through discomfort. But Seneca said, he who fears death will never do anything worth living. You are not here to entertain. You are here to embody something real. That demands respect, not applause. Lesson 40-7 Peace does not come from changing others, it comes from mastering your response. I used to think I needed others to get it to feel okay. But Marcus Aurelius taught that self-control is the highest form of power. Let them be loud. You stay steady. Lesson 40-8 Joy is a rebellion in a world addicted to outrage. I felt guilty for being happy when others were not. But Epictetus believed joy is rooted in virtue, not circumstances. Celebrate the good. Let your light be protest against the dark. Protect it fiercely. Lesson 40-9 Some things do not need healing, they need distance. I used to think every wound required closure. But Seneca knew time and space are medicine. Stop touching what keeps reopening. Some peace comes not through fixing, but through stepping away. Lesson 50 Your future will be built on what you say no to, not what you chase. I used to chase more opportunities, validation, movement. But Marcus Aurelius wrote the impediment to action advances action. The things you decline shape your direction. Your no is sacred. Use it. If these lessons feel like a mirror to what you already knew but forgot, let them ground you again. At this stage in life, wisdom is not about knowing more. It is about living fewer things deeper. Lesson 50-1 Stop asking people to value what they have never had to earn. I used to give too much too soon, time, energy, vulnerability. But Marcus Aurelius said the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If you want to be valued, you must first value your own offerings. Make them sacred. Make them earned. Lesson 50-2 Your triggers are clues, not curses. I used to resent my emotional reactions. But Epictetus taught the things that disturb you are not the things themselves, but your judgment of them. Every trigger is a teacher. Do not dismiss it. Study it. It is pointing to something unhealed. Lesson 50-3 Peace is not passive, it is strategic. I thought peace meant letting things go. But Seneca knew sometimes peace means confrontation. Sometimes it means distance. Sometimes it means speaking up when silence would be easier. Choose peace, but do not mistake it for permission. Lesson 50- for aging is not decline, it is refinement. I feared the wrinkles, the slower recovery, the losses. But Marcus Aurelius aged under pressure and became sharper, wiser, more essential. Time is not your enemy, it is your sculptor. Let it carve the unnecessary. Lesson 50-5 You cannot be both authentic and universally approved. I tried. Edited myself to be digestible. But Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. You were not born to fit in. You were born to be real. Let that cost you some people. Lesson 50-6 Not everything that feels urgent is important. I chased everything, every request. But Seneca wrote, he who is everywhere is nowhere. Urgency is not truth. Pause. Prioritize. Choose your pace. Your future needs more focus than frenzy. Lesson 50-7 Sometimes the most loving act is letting someone go. I clung, thinking persistence proved care. But Marcus Aurelius led by letting nature take its course. If holding on is breaking, you let go. Gracefully. Quietly. Fully. Lesson 50-8 Mastery is boring, and that is why it works. I used to chase novelty. New diets. New strategies. But Epictetus believed in simple repetition. Do the small things well. Daily. Consistently. Mastery is not magic. It is maintenance. Lesson 50-9. Your emotions are data, not commands. I used to obey my feelings without question. But Seneca knew that emotion without reason is destruction. Feel it. Name it. Then choose your next move from clarity, not compulsion. Lesson 60. Protect your presence from autopilot. I lived entire weeks on routine, never pausing to ask if it still fit who I was becoming. Marcus Aurelius journaled daily, not to document but to wake up. Your future is being built by what you do unconsciously. Choose to return to now. If any of these lessons sound like something you forgot, write them down. Not as quotes, but as contracts. Because after 40, wisdom is not something you collect. It is something you practice until it becomes who you are. Lesson 60-1. You are not obligated to remain who others remember you to be. I used to live in old stories, trying to stay consistent with versions of me that no longer existed. But Marcus Aurelius wrote, each day provides its own gifts. You have permission to evolve, to outgrow, to shed, especially when others resist it. Lesson 60-. To protect your solitude, it is where your truth speaks loudest. I feared being alone, confused it with loneliness. But Epictetus knew that real connection begins with the self. Solitude is not absence. It is the presence of everything real without distraction. Make space for it. It is where your power regenerates. Lesson 60-3. Success without inner peace is failure dressed well. I chased status, accolades, proved my worth by the outside world's metrics. But Seneca reminded us that prosperity without tranquility is poverty in disguise. Do not build a life that looks good but feels empty. Lesson 60-. For you do not need closure, you need clarity. I waited for apologies, explanations, perfect endings. But Marcus Aurelius accepted nature's flow, some things in mid-sentence. Closure is not found in their words. It is found in your choice to stop rereading a chapter that no longer adds to your story. Lesson 60-5. Protect your attention from people addicted to conflict. I tried to make peace where war was their language. But Epictetus warned us that arguing with fools is a fool's errand. Not everyone seeks resolution. Some seek control. Choose to disengage. Choose your peace over their pattern. Lesson 60-6. Grief is not a detour, it is part of the road. I tried to bypass it, numb it, outpace it. But Seneca wrote deeply on loss, because he knew grief is the echo of love. Do not rush it. Let it work through you. It will reshape you, but it will not destroy you. Lesson 60-7. Comparison is the most silent thief. I used to measure my worth by someone else's highlight reel. But Marcus Aurelius lived fully in his lane. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. Stop looking sideways. Your path is yours alone. Lesson 60-8. Rest is resistance in a world that worships exhaustion. I used to feel lazy for slowing down. But Epictetus believed in inner discipline, not outer performance. True rest is not quitting, it is fueling. Protect your stillness like it is sacred, because it is. Lesson 60-9. Your no can be more healing than your yes. I said yes to avoid conflict, to be liked. But Seneca reminded us, what you tolerate, you teach. Say no, not out of anger, but out of respect. Your future needs fewer obligations and more conviction. Lesson 70. Let the version of you that had to survive rest. I used to stay in hypervigilance, always ready for the next threat. But Marcus Aurelius would remind himself that courage is not tension, it is steadiness. You are no longer in the war you once fought. You can exhale now. You can choose peace. If any of these lessons felt like something your soul has been quietly waiting to hear, do not rush past them. Let them settle. Let them challenge the way you have been living. After 40, truth is no longer a luxury. It is a lifeline. Lesson 70-1 Stop shrinking to fit spaces that no longer feel like home. I used to force myself into rooms where I had to dim my voice, dilute my truth, suppress my instinct. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that nothing natural is ever forced. If you have to shrink, it is not your space. And if you stay, do not be surprised when you forget who you are. Lesson 70- To protect your life from unnecessary urgency. I lived on edge, always behind, always rushing. But Epictetus warned that anxiety comes not from the events, but from our interpretation. Ask yourself what would happen if you slowed down. What if this deadline was self-imposed? Some of the stress you carry is optional. Lesson 70-3 Healing does not mean returning to who you were. I used to aim for getting back to myself. But Seneca knew life flows forward. The goal is not return, it is reinvention. Let healing make you someone wiser, softer, more discerning. Let the old version rest. You are not supposed to go back. Lesson 70- For protect your future from nostalgia. I romanticized the past, forgot the cost of those memories. Marcus Aurelius warned, do not waste what is left of your life speculating about others. What was beautiful then may not be true now. Remember, but do not return. Forward is where peace waits. Lesson 70-5 Not everyone who grows with you is meant to go with you. I tried to carry everyone, every friendship, every bond. But Epictetus taught that clinging is not connection. Some souls are seasonal. Some bonds are stepping stones. It is not betrayal to move on. It is respect for yourself and for them. Lesson 70-6 Protect your body as a spiritual responsibility. I once separated mind, soul, and body. But Seneca lived by unity. Your body is not just a machine, it is the vessel through which you fulfill your purpose. Nourish it. Move it. Rest it. Do not worship it, but do not ignore it either. Lesson 70-7 Emotions are not enemies, they are indicators. I feared sadness, hated anger, suppressed disappointment. But Marcus Aurelius journaled his rage, his sorrow, his exhaustion. Emotions are data. Let them inform you, but never rule you. You are the observer, not the storm. Lesson 70-8 Protect your daily rituals, they are anchors in the chaos. I used to skip the small things, morning walks, reflection, gratitude. But Epictetus lived a disciplined simplicity. In the noise of modern life, rituals are resistance. They hold you steady when everything else spins. Lesson 70-9 Let rest be as productive as effort. I believed rest was indulgence. But Seneca said true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. When you rest, you are not stopping life. You are strengthening your capacity to meet it well. Lesson 80 Stop explaining the version of you that chose peace. I once over-explained why I left, why I said no, why I needed silence. But Marcus Aurelius said, be content with what you are. Your peace does not need a defense. Let them wonder. Let your peace be your punctuation. If these lessons feel less like advice and more like remembering, it means you are on the right path. This is not about becoming someone new. It is about shedding what was never yours in the first place. And finally, walking with only what feels true. Lesson 80-1 Your peace is more powerful than your opinion. I used to rush to correct, explain, or defend myself. But Marcus Aurelius chose silence over argument, presence over proving. When you know who you are, you stop needing the world to validate it. Sometimes peace is found not in the last word, but in walking away. Lesson 80 minus to let go of your addiction to potential in others and in yourself. I used to fall in love with who someone could become. I stayed in places hoping they would change. But Epictetus taught you must accept what is, not cling to what might be. Stop living in someday. Respect the present enough to tell the truth. Lesson 80 minus 3 your values are your compass. Do not trade them for short minus term comfort. I compromised, rationalized, negotiated my integrity. But Seneca believed virtue was not just an ideal, but a discipline. Every small compromise adds up. Hold your values tight. They are not suggestions, they are soul insurance. Lesson 80 minus for protect your emotional energy like your physical health. I used to dismiss feelings of fatigue, overwhelm, burnout as if emotions did not deserve rest. But Marcus Aurelius observed himself like a scientist of the soul. If something drains you repeatedly, it is not just life, it is a boundary waiting to be drawn. Lesson 80 minus 5 your truth does not need consensus. I waited for people to agree before I acted on my knowing. But Epictetus reminded the crowd is often wrong. Truth is not validated by volume, it is revealed by inner quiet. Follow it even if you walk alone. Lesson 80 minus 6 some things are heavy because they are not yours to carry. I took responsibility for everyone solving, soothing, saving. But Seneca taught that wisdom includes knowing where your role ends. Let others carry their own lessons. Your compassion should not cost your wholeness. Lesson 80 minus 7 protect your capacity for joy, especially when things feel heavy. I used to feel guilty for laughing in hard seasons. But Marcus Aurelius found light in the midst of hardship. Joy is not denial, it is survival. Let yourself feel it. That flicker is what keeps the soul from drowning. Lesson 80 minus 8 you are allowed to stop explaining your no. I used to offer paragraphs for every boundary. But Epictetus believed in brevity and clarity. No is a full sentence. And the people who need more than that are often the ones your boundary was made for. Lesson 80 minus 9 do not confuse peace with numbness. I once called myself calm when I was actually shut down. But Seneca knew the difference between stillness and suppression. Real peace is alive, present, engaged. If you feel nothing, that is not peace, it is a wound asking to be met. Lesson 90 your evolution will make some people uncomfortable. Let them be. I tried to keep everyone comfortable as I grew. But Marcus Aurelius lived by principle, not popularity. You are not meant to stay small for someone else's ease. If your truth shakes the room, it probably needed shaking. If these lessons feel less like motivation and more like confirmation, it means your soul already knows what is true. You are not adding anything new. You are clearing the fog, returning to your own clarity. And that is the most secure thing you can offer your future. Lesson 90 minus 1 your past is not your punishment. I used to carry my mistakes like a second skin, convinced they defined me. But Marcus Aurelius wrote, do not waste the remainder of your life in thoughts about others. When you do not refer your thoughts to some object of common utility, let the past instruct you, but do not let it imprison you. Lesson 90 minus to protect your goals from distraction disguised as opportunity. I once said yes to everything that sounded impressive. But Epictetus warned wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. The more you say yes to noise, the further you drift from signal. Be clear. Be selective. Stay close to what matters. Lesson 90 minus 3 let the old version of you die with dignity. I resisted change because I grieved who I used to be. But Seneca knew death was part of life, even the small deaths. Let the old habits fall. Let the old stories fade. Mourn if you must, but then walk on lighter. Lesson 90-4 You cannot heal in the same environment that hurt you. I tried to stay and work it out, but Marcus Aurelius withdrew often to reflect and reconnect to his truth. Distance is not avoidance. Sometimes it is medicine. Sometimes it is the only honest path forward. Lesson 90-5 Protect your focus like it is your final currency. I used to let everything interrupt me. But Epictetus believed where your attention goes, your destiny follows. Guard your mind. Turn off the noise. The life you want is waiting beneath your distractions. Lesson 90-6 Maturity is realizing not every conflict requires your engagement. I once believed I had to resolve everything. But Seneca taught that dignity often lies in restraint. Let others stay tangled in drama. You walk away clean. Your peace is not up for discussion. Lesson 90-7 You are allowed to choose a soft life even if your past was hard. I felt like I had to struggle forever, as if ease was betrayal. But Marcus Aurelius saw calm in chaos not as luxury, but as necessity. You do not have to earn peace through pain. Sometimes choosing softness is choosing sanity. Lesson 90-8 Stop giving people more chances than they would ever give you. I confused compassion with tolerance. But Epictetus warned that mercy without boundaries becomes self-betrayal. Match their energy, not their potential. What they show you is who they are. Lesson 90-9 Your capacity for love grows when it is no longer confused with self-sacrifice. I gave too much, hoping it would prove my loyalty. But Seneca reminded us love that costs you your well-being is not noble, it is naive. Real love adds to you. It does not ask you to disappear. Lesson 100 Everything changes. So build your life on what does not. I once tried to make permanence out of temporary things, relationships, titles, status. But Marcus Aurelius grounded himself in virtue, not circumstance. Things will fall away. People will leave. Time will move. Anchor yourself in what no one can take: your integrity, your discipline, your peace. If you have made it this far, you know these are not just lessons. They are lifelines. Not rules to follow, but truths to live. This is not self-help. This is soul-maintenance. And it is never too late to begin again, wiser, softer, truer. Lesson 101 You do not need more time, you need more intention. I used to believe that if I just had more hours, more space, I would get it right. But Marcus Aurelius knew you have power over your mind, not outside events. The issue is rarely time. It is where we aim it. Align your intention. Then act from there. Lesson 100 Peace is not found in fixing, but in accepting. I tried to solve everything, every broken bond, every old regret. But Epictetus reminded us freedom is the only worthy goal, and freedom often begins when you stop trying to make everything perfect. Let life be a little messy. Let yourself be enough, even unfinished. Lesson 103 Aging is not a loss of relevance, it is a deepening of resonance. I feared becoming invisible. But Seneca aged with purpose, not regret. You are not fading. You are focusing. What you say now carries more weight, not less. Speak wisely. It matters more than you know. Lesson 103 You are allowed to build a quiet life. I chase loudness, impact, visibility. But Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while yearning for simplicity. You do not have to be everywhere to matter. You do not need noise to feel alive. Sometimes the most revolutionary life is the one lived without spectacle. Lesson 105: do not ignore what drains you just because you are good at it. I stayed in roles, routines, and relationships because I could handle them. But Epictetus said, know first who you are. Skill is not the same as calling. Being capable is not a reason to stay. Let go of what you outgrew even if you mastered it. Lesson 106: protect your ability to be fully present. I once lived a split life, thinking about work while at dinner, planning the next step while standing still. But Seneca reminded us that to be truly alive is to be fully here. Do not let your mind live ahead of your soul. Slow down. Arrive. Lesson 107: you do not need to earn rest. I used to treat rest like a reward after proving my worth. But Marcus Aurelius knew that a mind at peace is the foundation of wisdom. You rest because you are alive. Because you are human. Because your future depends on your ability to restore, not just perform. Lesson 108: your intuition is not irrational, it is ancient intelligence. I once ignored it, talked myself out of it. But Epictetus believed the self already knows what is right. That first feeling, that gut pull, that subtle no before the mind overthinks it, trust that. It is older than your fear. Lesson 109: protect your definition of success. I borrowed mine from culture, from childhood, from comparison. But Seneca lived by inner scorekeeping. Success is not what it looks like. It is how it feels, and how it aligns with your values. Redefine it, or you will spend your life chasing someone else's prize. Lesson 110: you are not behind, you are awakening. I looked around and saw people further along, seemingly more accomplished. But Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, do not live as if you were going to live 10,000 years. You are not late. You are just finally awake. And that changes everything. If these lessons echo something in your bones, it is because they weren't ever new. They were simply forgotten, buried under noise, covered by fear. But truth has a way of surviving. And at this point in your life, it is ready to be lived. You have made it to the end. But this is not a conclusion. It is a remembering. I return to what you always knew, long before the world tried to convince you otherwise. These 100 lessons are not for collecting, they are for choosing, living, embodying, one small act at a time. Because after 40 you realize your peace was never meant to be a reward. It was meant to be your foundation. Your wisdom is no longer something you chase, it is something you reveal by letting go. Letting go of roles, of timelines, of the version of you that survived by over-minus functioning, over-minus apologizing, over-minus explaining. That version did its job. It carried you here. But now, something quieter wants to take its place. Something truer. This life stage is not about performance. It is about presence. It is about moving slower but deeper. Saying less, but meaning more. Doing fewer things, but doing them with your whole soul. You are not here to impress. You are here to align. To simplify. To honor what matters before time runs out. So if there is anything to hold on to from these 100 truths, let it be this. Protect your peace like it is your purpose. Treat your attention like it is sacred. Walk away from anything that asks you to betray your own knowing. And never ever again abandon yourself to belong to someone or something else. The most powerful life after 40 is not one of endless additions, but one of intentional subtractions. Fewer people, fewer explanations, fewer obligations, but deeper connections, deeper truth, deeper calm. You are not behind. You are becoming. And this version of you, the one who chooses peace, protects energy, walks with wisdom, that version will build the future your younger self never knew how to imagine. Let that be your legacy. Not just survival, but sovereignty. Not just success, but soul. Not just years, but meaning. This is not the end. This is your beginning, on purpose, at peace, and fully awake.